And we are live. Hi, welcome to the Stream of David Live. I am here with one of my favorite people on the planet,
Oh.
Evidential Psychic Medium, Andrea St. Amand. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, it's so good to be here with you, David. It's actually been a while since we've done a live together. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. And in fact, we went all the way through the holiday season, probably way before the holiday season, even, but without doing anything. And then we waited a long time. So we kind of saved up so we can have a
Yeah,
fantastic interaction in this next hour. So I can't wait for everybody to get signed on and then kind of dive into what you do and what we're going to do here today.
I'm really excited about what we're going to do here today. And I just want to take a minute to note that at this time last year, I was actually in Palm Springs, California. I was doing a tour through California and I was seeing you in person.
So it's a year ago, like right now, that we had
I
dinner.
think it's right now. Yeah.
It's so bizarre that it just came to me. It's not
Yep.
that bizarre. We know how things work, but still,
Yep.
that's interesting. That's really interesting.
I think this is our time of year.
Yeah. Obviously, there we go. Yeah, and last year, I remember having a lovely dinner, mask free, an open
Amazing.
restaurant where you
It
could
was
actually go and sit.
amazing.
The
I
things we took for
know.
granted back then, right?
I know. The funny thing is, because I had a lot of travel last year throughout California after I left you. And then we went through the Panama Canal with some friends, and I had so much travel packed in. I just had been telling myself I'm going to rest for the rest of the year. And I didn't know that was actually going to be
It's going to be
imposed.
done for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how are you
Yeah.
doing with the pandemic? You're rolling through it okay?
We are blessed. Yeah. I'm like, we have not had anybody in our family, any of us, nobody's been affected by COVID. I mean, definitely friends have been, but we've been quarantined. I'm a natural introvert, even though I show up on camera a lot. Most of my work is on camera, and David, yours is probably the same. So you don't have to see people in person, and I think it's really great that more people are getting used to doing the being able to receive the type of work that we're giving on camera rather than having to be in person. That's been really nice. But
Yeah.
we've been
You know,
good.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. Our experience with COVID has been the same. We have not been directly affected by it at all. Nobody in my family has had it. We've had friends that have had it and gotten over it. I've had a couple of friends that have passed away in the past year, but not because of COVID, just other things.
Yeah.
But we're good, and I sort of roll with whatever the universe is offering up. And I had this. I moved to Palm Springs in 2018, at the beginning of 2018,
Mhm.
and I had this big social life that I'd never really had before. I'd always been sort of a work all day, go home, have a cocktail, sit in front of the TV, and then when I got into more spiritual pursuits, go home and work on my book, go home and read, meditate, be very, like you say, introverted. Even when I lived in the city, maybe go out for dinner, and then that was it. And then when I moved to Palm Springs, there's this huge, it's a resort town, so everyone's
Yeah.
very social here. So there's always a party going on. There's always something going on. I really dove into that for a while, and I
And the
enjoyed it.
weather's always perfect. It's
The
always
weather's no,
TV perfect.
it was 90 degrees. We were in the pool this weekend. It's beautiful here. It's cold today. It got cold and it's a little gray yesterday and today, which I actually kind of like too. But it's interesting because I moved through that period of having something to do every night something to do, and really enjoyed it. And then when that period ended, it was just sort of like, okay, cool, back to just being at home. And interestingly, we had just remodeled the house and moved into the remodeled house right as COVID hit in
I
March.
remember that.
So we created this perfect sanctuary,
Yep.
with a walled-in, completely remodeled outdoor area, pool, everything. So we live in this compound, type of
Yep.
situation where everything is self-contained right here, which is fantastic. And I realized too. I think I announced this realization that I came to a little bit ago on the show. Probably just a month or two ago, that it really hit me that when I quit my job and wrote my book and started the podcast and all that, my intention was to do sort of what Abraham does, to go channel in front of an audience.
And a big audience. That's always been,
Well, a big
yes.
audience would be lovely. My
Yep.
ego would love that, yes. But whatever the size of the audience is, the stream doesn't care. I would love, I love the energy of the big audience. I got to do that. I did a few things. I did one in LA and one in San Francisco, and then here in Palm Springs, Debbie G of Spirituality Gone Wild, she put on this event. And I channeled at the event in front of an audience, and it was the most amazing experience to do that in person. And there was a line of people waiting to come and sit and talk to the stream, and they had to cut off the line because it was that crazy. So it was an amazing experience, and I really wanted to do that more than anything. And I realized that since I do this full time, that had I started doing that, that would have all ended in 2020.
Yeah.
And instead, what I did was I created a virtual way to share my podcast, the show, my YouTube channel, all the things that I do was really setting me up for this time.
I know.
To do things virtually.
David, I remember all of that with you. And I remember you really being pulled to a live audience. And at the same time, right before COVID hit, you being pulled to do like, okay, I've got to start a new book. Start a new book. And I was like, you have a book. What did you go say more on this? And you're like, no, I've got to start a new book. And I'm just going to out you. You are writing a new book, and you just sent it like a draft to your
editor. It took me 2.5 years to write the Taya book. And it just got sent to the next stage, which is a developmental editor. That happened this Tuesday. So I've been working feverishly on that for quite some time. It's a big book.
A long time.
If it gets published in its current form, it's going to be a big spiritual book.
Nice.
We'll see. I love it. I think it's very transformative. I think the world's ready for it right now. So it's all about aligning with the right agent, aligning with the right publisher, and just getting it out there from this point. So you have been busy, and actually the normal format of our show is we kind of gab a little bit and then I go into channeling. But you've got something different. Andrea, I introduced her at the beginning, but I'm going to reiterate. She's an evidential psychic medium. She has done television shows. She's very well regarded in that realm. And I'm going to kind of turn it over to Andrea and let her tell you about what she does and what she's going to do, which is really cool and really exciting right here, right now on the show.
Okay, thank you. So I want to give a minute to talk about what I do, because what I do with David is so different. And it's so fascinating because David has the stream. And for anybody watching me who hasn't watched David before, actually, David, I'm going to flip it back to you just for a quick, skinny second. There is David, you're human, and then you channel what you call the stream. And I know it's what you call your stream of consciousness, but can you just speak to that just for minutes, just so for when I talk about who I'm reading and what I'm doing, we can differentiate between David, the human, and David's stream?
Yeah. Well, the stream is source, and we all have a connection to source. We all do. And our connection to source, I also very often refer to it just as the energetic realm, because I believe that we all receive the energetic realm in our own way. And it's very much influenced by our religious beliefs, our teachings, and different things. And we're all sort of filtering that connection through our mindset and through our judgment, if you will. And when I started really understanding what channeling was, I was told that I was a channel years and years and years ago, and I didn't like that. I didn't want to be weird. But I knew that I had this deep knowing that I've had my entire life coming to me. I remember age 5, 6, having this knowing that was way beyond a 5, 6-year-old mind. And then I remember distinctly in my teens understanding the ways of the world and the ways of the universe. And then from there, it's just expanded and expanded and expanded. And then I was told that I was a channel. And then I discovered Abraham Hicks, which, Abraham is another channeled entity. And when I really got into it, I really wanted to know, well, who are you? What's your name? And what I got was very clear. We are eternal consciousness. We are what you might call source. We are what some call God. And that might upset some people hearing that, but we're all connected to that. And it's perceived differently depending on how your raised really in what you continue to believe for yourself. So I just say I'm a channel of source. We're all connected to source. I channel source consciousness. Source consciousness is not quantified the way physical is quantified, and it is just that. And it's as simple as that, and it's as big as that, and it's as unique as that.
Beautiful. You make it so simple. So now I'm going to complicate it a little bit. So when I do a reading as a psychic medium, if someone comes to me for psychic work, psychic to me does not mean fortune telling. That does not mean I'm going to pull out a crystal ball and I'm going to divine the future. It means I'm really focused on you. So let's say David is coming to me for a reading. And David's saying, I really got some issue in my private life. And he doesn't have to tell me what the issue is. I'm going to read David. I can read David the human. By reading David the human, I'm tapping into David's soul. And I'm going to tap into his higher self, whatever that means to you guys. I'll tap into his guides. I'll tap into like whatever tools I have. When someone comes to me for mediumship, that means I'm actually, in my perception, I'm going back here behind me. So I'm going to tap into the spirit world, which are passed away loved ones. So your grandma, your husband, your child, your dog, whoever's passed away. And I'm going to give you information from there and guidance from their perspective. So with David, what's so fascinating is when he's given me access to tap into the stream, I'm reading something different. I am reading it through David. I'm reading it with his permission because I don't do any readings without permission. But I'm tapping in. Actually, I'm not tapping into myself. I mean, I might be using my own higher self to tap into David's higher self, but I'm tapping into like a real different source through David, which is phenomenal. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm not going to be reading David. Even if David wants to do something about his dog, we're going to probably do that offline because that happens. But I'm tapping into like something that's bigger than David and David's higher self. And it literally feels to me that I'm going, like if I'm in an elevator, I'm going up a few levels. That's just my perception. That doesn't mean that that's how nobody has to go up a few levels. It's just my perception to make sure I'm not just tapped into David the human, but I'm tapped into like this other stream of consciousness. And it's really profound every time I'm allowed to do that. And by saying I'm allowed, I'm tapping into David, right? I'm not like David always says, like in the stream always says, we always have our own direct access to source. But for the purposes of this show, this live, I'm literally tapping into what David is able to pull down so easily and so beautifully into his energy. It's like literally like a waterfall or a stream of light. So that's what I'm tapping into. And that's what I'll be communicating with.
They're eager.
Yeah, I am too.
I feel it.
So
I feel it right now.
process.
They're
I'm
very, very eager
super,
for this. So for those of you watching, this is a very, it's a little trippy, might be a little freaky. That's okay. But it's a very cool thing because generally people are just talking to the stream. And now Andrea, as an evidential psychic medium, is going to, we've done something kind of similar to this, but not this depth before. We did it for like a minute. Now we're going to do the whole show this way. So this is going to be really cool. So I always take my glasses off. I like to say it interrupts the signal, but that's not true.
That's funny because I have a medium friend who she's like, I need my reading glasses on when I do readings. And she'll actually put the glasses on and then she can read.
It's part of her process. Yeah. I just like to have nothing, I don't like to have a headset on if I can help it. On the podcast now, I have the headset when I channel. It's okay. It works, but I just would rather not have anything. So let's do it. Let's do the group meditation. As always, I invite everybody that's watching, whether you're watching right now in real time, there's quite a few of you on right now, or in the future, to set an intention to have just an outstanding experience. Just leave it as general as that, an outstanding experience interacting with the stream and interacting with Andrea, and we will see what transpires. We are here.
Thank you. I feel like because my intention was set earlier to connect with you, that I've been getting some messages from you for about the last hour. And the first thing that I wrote down, because I do a lot of automatic writing, which we might want to talk about a little bit. But the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of fortune telling and future reading. And because of everything that's been happening in our country lately, and I don't want to ignore that, but I want to kind of go deeper than that. A lot of people seems like they're wanting to know the future. They're wanting to know the future. And to me, I have a resistance to future fortune telling. So can you talk about fortune telling and people worried about the future? It's a worry about the future, a worry about the future.
It is always rooted in giving away your creative power. First of all, it is very often rooted in the fear of what may be next, and even if the fear vibration is not fully realized, meaning felt, the vibration of that type of question is always wanting to hear what you want to hear, that everything is going to be amazing and everything is going to be great, and what is transpiring, you all have a connection to the eternal nature of the energetic realm, meaning you all have a connection to everything that's ever happened and everything that's ever going to happen, because all of that is consciousness that is constant, and you are all part of it. But in coming into physical, you have taken all of that knowledge and sort of set it aside, if you will, and projected your consciousness into a physical realm. And you have acquired, in this case, a human consciousness, an ego consciousness that serves to overshadow all of that information. We say overshadow because all of that information is present, but it's overshadowed by your humanness. And it as you move through life from the time of physical birth, you begin absorbing your surroundings and learning how to be a human being. And part of learning how to be a human being is teaching yourselves to ignore the energetic realm that is all around you. This is why you see young children speaking to things that are not there, in your opinion, having imaginary friends, seeing relatives that have crossed over, and things of this nature. They are not filtering out the energetic realm as successfully as a more mature human. And the more you learn to filter that out and operate in 3D, the more of a contrasting human experience you're going to deliver for yourself, which is exactly why you came. But you're not all the same. So some of you filter that out more than others. And those that move through their lifetime not filtering it out as much maintain this connection. And the connection is contrasting, as all things are in physical. So there is positive in this connection. You know things that others around you do not know. The flip side of that is that you are labeled weird or odd or different or crazy because you are knowing these things. But if you move into a place of being comfortable with your abilities, if you were raised in a scenario where those abilities are celebrated, you are more likely to allow them without all of the judgment that creates the negative contrast. And when you're in allowance of your gifts, your connection to the energetic realm, you possess the ability to connect to endless vibrations. Certainly not all vibrations, because there is much more going on than your human mind can absorb or begin to experience in what you're perceiving as linear time. However, you have the ability to tap into elements forward and backward. You absolutely can connect to someone's energy field when you so allow, and read them forward and backward. But understand that the forward and backward that you are reading is the current vibration of. Sometimes it's easier to read the backward because human beings maintain a vibration of the past, your recollection, your judgment, your opinion of your past. You tell the same stories to yourselves over and over and over again. I was poor when I was a child. My father was distant. I was picked on. I was overweight. I never liked my hair. Whatever it is, you tell yourselves these same stories. So your consciousness keeps your version of your past very much alive. And it is easier for someone with these gifts to tap into your version of your past. But your version of the future is your constant creation. Because even though all possible scenarios, and we are separating from human consciousness a bit in sharing this with you, because we understand that it is a bit beyond your comprehension to think that there are endless scenarios of what is next that are all very real in the energetic realm, and they're all very real. It is all happening. But what you dial into to materialize in your next is up to you, is up to your vibrational alignment with it. So when someone's reading your future, they in most cases are going to get some things right if they know what they're doing and they trust what they are doing, and they're going to get some things wrong, because you do have the free will to shift your future to different versions of as you experience life, as you become a more sophisticated human being and learn to operate in a more sophisticated way. And again, you're all on your own independent journey, so you're all doing this in different ways. Some of you are becoming more and more cynical and shutting it down more and more and more. But those of you that are interacting with us are interested in learning more and expanding into a space where you are creating what's next for you with more intention. And we are here for that. So that creation of what's next very often occurs through the power of suggestion of the one who is reading the future for you. They tell you that XYZ is going to happen, and you create XYZ, and it indeed happens for you. And then you go back again and again and again, wanting to have your future read for you, not realizing that you are the co-creator of that future. And the reason that it came to pass for you is because you placed your trust in the medium, and then your trust in the medium allowed your vibration to manifest the very thing that the medium suggested was going to happen. So it all comes down to trust. And we have stated lately that you can actually remember your future the same way you remember your past. And you can remember a future that is more in alignment with your true desires and thus create it.
That's beautiful. Remember your future. Like, everybody hearing that phrase, just write it down right now and put it out. That is so amazing. Remember your future. You hit on exactly, of course, where we wanted to go. A couple of things. One was that, what any psychic medium is reading is what's already in your vibrational possibility. And so if I can pull out something as a psychic medium with someone's future, that's great, but they have to also co-create. So that's beautiful. But also really where I was feeling like people are wanting with psychic fortune telling type of readings, and I'll get people calling me wanting futuristic predictions about the world that has nothing to do with them individually. Okay, I said that. Let me back it up. Obviously, they are feeling very anxious, so they're feeling very tapped into whatever's happening outside of them. And everything you just said was pulling it back to the individual, which is what I try to do. But there are a lot of folks out there who want psychic predictions, and there are psychics out there who will do psychic predictions about what's going to happen in the future of the planet. What's going to happen at the White House? What's going to happen at the Kremlin? What's going to happen in South America? Those are things, actually, I'd like your opinion on. Those are things really outside of our control, and not your opinion on your thoughts, but those are things really outside of our control. So to me, I want to pull everything back to the individual. And I would just like, what are your thoughts on that?
What's next for planet Earth? What's next for humanity? What's next for your nation, whatever your nation is up to the collective consciousness vibration, certainly. And you see evidence all around you of how the collective consciousness reaction is going to dictate what is next. At the onset of your pandemic, we were asked multiple times to predict the future.
Okay.
We did not and will not specifically predict the future because we are not here to be the creator. You are the creators of your future. We will tell you that mass fear absolutely attracts more of that which you fear. And we said that at the beginning of your pandemic, and that came to be so. But we were speaking of human nature in your current vibration, not of exactly what was next. There are things that are likely because of human nature in its current vibration. But you all possess the power to shift that consciousness. But what occurs because of polarity and because of vibrational flow is that you get into a circumstance that you consider unwanted, and it flows for a period of time. And as time goes by, you become very accustomed to the new unwanted way of being as your new reality. As soon as you become accustomed to it, you are not fueling it as much. And the potential for it to change or be solved then arrives. And the potential of it to be changed or solved arrives in your boredom with it, essentially. And the vibration is very high on something when it's very new. The fear is very high, or the celebration of is very high. It all works the same. And then inevitably, the vibration is going to drop on any topic because you're in a polarized environment. When the vibration drops on that topic, it loses a little bit of power and some fracturing occurs. And the transgressor energy around it sort of bubbles up and presents itself to get your attention and to detune. And whatever you're creating, whether it's something wanted or unwanted, you're creating it all individually and collectively. Whatever your creation is, you can then address these transgressors, if you will, in a high vibrational attitude of solving them, of curing them, of evolving beyond them, or you can be fearful of and double down in low vibration and have more unwanted flow through. There is evidence of this in your lives. There's evidence of this across all of humanity. You do not have to take our word for any of this. You can take this information, look back at your history of your linear time up until your now, and see evidence of this all around you. And it's very often easier for you to see evidence of this externally than in yourselves, because it's much harder to really discern because you are in your bubble of reality all the time. But the other's bubble of reality, it's very easy to step back and look at that objectively and see how your fellow beings are creating a bubble of reality for themselves, how groups are coming together and creating a bubble of reality for themselves. David was speaking recently of what transpired at the Capitol of the United States. And for a moment, he was triggered down by it. And he stepped away. He converged with us. And in his raising of his vibration, he came to appreciate all that was of the entire interaction. Came to appreciate that the ones that were breaking into the Capitol were operating in their bubble of reality, where to them, they were doing the right thing. And the people that were on social media completely upset by it were operating in their bubble of reality, upset of the injustice of it, if you will, and that everyone was having the experience that they were aligned with. You all possess the ability to train yourselves to zoom to this higher perspective because you're all part of it. So in doing so, you can actually shift your opinion of every aspect of your lives and understand that your judgment of all of it is the very thing that's holding you away from your joy and your abundance and your version of utopia, which is available to all of you.
You're really hitting on that balance between the individual and the collective consciousness. So it's what I'm hearing you say is that the individual does have an effect on the collective. One way
Absolutely, you do. This is why when some of you ask us, how do you offer healing to your fellow human?
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with this. Thank you.
The advice is always going to be the offering the highest vibration version of you. It is not about placing your hands in their clay.
Right.
The creation of your bubble of reality is your clay, and that is really your only business as a physical being. But if you choose to try to create in someone else's clay, you're going to be disappointed every single time, because they're operating in their own bubble of reality. And your need to control their bubble of reality is rooted in your own insecurities, your own fear. And that fear and that insecurity and that judgment that springs forth from that, inevitably you are going to turn that inward, and you are going to separate yourself from your connection to this. You all have your own version of this. You all have us flowing to you in your own unique way. However you want to label this, you're all part of this. And you being part of this are creating your bubble of reality, but your creation of your bubble of reality is creating the bigger bubble of reality of your community, of your friend network, of your nation. That there are different bubbles of reality of every vibration. The vibration of humanity, the vibration of planet Earth and all of its inhabitants. You are all part of all of that. It is an endless wormhole, forward and backward, of creation that never ends. And we understand that as a physical being, you are perceiving linear time. So when we say that something never ends, that is difficult, if not impossible, for you to comprehend. But it is indeed accurate that which you are infinite. You are infinite. Space is infinite. Creation is infinite. There was no beginning of time and there is no end of time. There is transmutation of physical and certainly expansion of energy, which is why you are here. You are here in this physical experience to experience both positive and negative. And in your experiencing of that which you consider negative, create solutions, create new thought.
Yeah.
But we very much want you to understand that your new thought is only going to be a co-creation of you and your connection to us. And that's only going to occur when you are above what we label as neutral. Since you are in a physical environment, we understand things are measured, and we will communicate with you in this way. But the measurement of being above neutral and positive, in love of self and appreciation of all that is, in this good feeling space of joy, that is where all new thought occurs. So you raise your vibration to this space of joy and connectivity to our energy. Then you place your hands in the clay and you create new things. And you indeed are the creators. So wanting to know what's next, we will never take that gift away from you. What's next is up to you.
Beautiful.
You may refer to us as the source of all creation, but you are the creators.
Which is petrifying to humans. I just need to say that. And I feel like
we are here to soften that, because humanity is getting more and more ready to understand how you are the creators. We are here to really to bring clarity. And David's understanding of this is so deep and so profound. And notice that there are not millions flocking to this message, because at this time, there are not yet millions that are ready for this message. But as those of you come to understand these things, and you can shout it from the rooftops if you want, or you can keep it to yourselves if you want. It's completely up to you. But the more you be it, the more you share it vibrationally, and the more your fellow humans will come to understand how you create all of it, the positive and the negative, and understand the value of what you consider negative, and understand that there are negative aspects of your world that from your human perspective you think are extremely negative, extremely unwanted. But from our perspective, we see you as the eternal beings that you are.
Can we talk about that moment right there that you just nailed? That like co-creation where you're seeing is negative. That's where a human being is like, your skin is ripped off, your heart is wide open, you're an open bleeding wound, and the vulnerability is profound. Honestly, that's what creation is, right? That's what co-creation is. You are so vulnerable. And I'm feeling like I'm wanting to talk with you about that vulnerability and being soft. And you just said, like, we want to soften that. So being soft and vulnerable, and at the same time, your heart's open and you're just, it's scary. You're vulnerable.
But you can detune the fear, and we are here to offer words that as you begin to piece together everything that we offer, and we offer quite a bit. But when you begin to piece it all together, you begin to see the simplicity of what we are offering. For the universe is a very simple place. Through your science fiction and your complex human minds, you very often want to make the energetic realm something very complex, if not scary. And it is not that at all. It is very simple. Humanity is far more complex than the energetic realm. Your contrasting environment is what makes things complex. Therefore, your contrasting environment is what makes things scary. But you can detune the complexity, and you can also detune the fear and the scariness of it, so that you are coming to fully grasp what we are offering, and that there is nothing happening in your physical realm that will ever be able to end that which you are. Essence of you, what you call your soul, your core being, your higher self, however you label that, that is eternal. There is no other being, there is no war, there is no pandemic, there is no illness, there is no speeding bus that is going to end that. The physical part of you is a speck compared to that which you are. And this physical apparatus that you're operating in is simply a vehicle to carry you through, in this case, a human life experience in linear time, so that you can experience the contrast of physical, so that you can experience the pain and imperfection of physical. You are not here for perfection. We are not teaching or guiding you to perfection. We speak of abundance, but when we speak of abundance, we mean your daily joy first, your connection to your version of this and the clarity that comes with that. Because all of these trinkets that you're all chasing, you are chasing because you believe they're going to deliver some version of this. There are no trinkets, there are no experiences, there are no relationships, there are no things, material things, there's no amount of money. And all of those things can be joyful in a physical environment. There is nothing wrong with any of those things. We want to be very, very clear about that. Have your yachts, have your mansions, have your cars, have your luxuries if you want. That we are not judging any of it. But notice that there is never enough of that for any multi-billionaire to be in a constant state of joy. We joke with all of you often that there are people living the material lives that you all believe that you want to live who are miserable.
Yeah,
and it's not because the material things make them miserable, but there is a misconception of receiving joy from earthly things without receiving joy first. We are guiding you to clarity, and that clarity will give birth to your joy. When you understand your nature, you understand your purpose, you understand your world and everything and everyone in it. When you have that high level of understanding, and this is available to all of you at zero cost right now. And when you stand in that space of clarity, and you stand in that space of non-judgment and non-fear, the fearlessness of understanding your eternal nature, that nothing that's happening here can end that which you are. Do you understand that? That's so valuable. That is more valuable than any lottery win. That is more valuable than having some guru tell you what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
Because when you
absolutely.
stand in that space of fearlessness and trust, you are the one that's creating what's next. And if you're
Absolutely.
really zoomed out and really trusting, you are then the one who is allowing the universe to deliver your vibrational match of simple joy, and letting that take whatever shape it will, including luxurious experiences and earthly things and all of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that you want. There is no judgment from the energetic realm around any of it. Have anything that you want, but find your path to joy first.
I'm hearing too, and I'm feeling like I just want to like get your thought on the word vulnerability. That it's like it's okay. You're not going to stand there when you do stand there full of confidence. That's not going to necessarily happen. If it does, awesome. But it's completely okay to stand there with your heart open, feeling very vulnerable, and creating from that spot.
The vibration of vulnerability is a more fearless vibration than the vibration of posturing. And you
Ooh,
are all taught
beautiful.
posture. When David began sharing our message and being more open on social media, there were some that he brought in for guidance that directed him to be more of a guru and present this image of perfection. And,
Yes.
and we guided him away from that to not pretend to be some guru of perfection, to talk about his flaws, to talk about his trips down the spiral, to connect with all of you on a very different level of humanity. And that is vulnerability. And we guide all of you to be vulnerable in a very fearless way, understanding that vulnerability is far more fearless and higher vibration than trying to put forth some plastic image that is not real and therefore not truly serving anyone.
Thank you. Because so many people feel when they're watching other people on social media, they're watching other people like do whatever they're doing. They're like, I have to be perfect before I do anything. I have to have it all figured out before I even take that first step. And that's why I figured, that's why I was really feeling from you that I wanted to do a deep dive on vulnerability. It's beautiful.
There is great value in that. And there is certainly value in all teachings. There is a teacher and a student match always, regardless of what the teacher is doing. David's intention with coming forth, one of the very first things that when he was conversing on a level where he could truly converse with us beyond just a feeling and a knowing, he asked, why another channel?
Yes.
Why another Abraham?
Yep.
And we were very clear with him that there will never be another Abraham. There does not need to be another Abraham. Abraham is perfection in Abraham. And Abraham is meeting an audience at their vibrational match level and serving that audience in the way that they serve the audience. You are going to do something different. And his intention in sharing our message was very much to set fear aside and not worry about ruffling feathers and get down and dirty into universal law, into what will truly serve the expansion of humanity. Little did he know from his human perspective that he was wrapping up a teaching and a practice at a great time of ascension across humanity that you are all becoming more and more and more aware of. Those of you that are what you would call in an awakening process, getting clearer, are understanding what a magical time this is on your planet. But you're also coming to understand that polarity is causing this divide. And this divide is causing everyone who is not in sync with that to race to the bottom of their spiral and pick a side and be more impacted by polarity than ever. And you see evidence of that all around you. But that is perfection, because many of them will go down there and pick a side and stay down in that low vibrational space long enough to where it will become so painful and so uncomfortable, they will have no choice for themselves but to find something different that works better. And in that will be one more human soul that is ascending on earth to a higher vibrational space of clarity. And then the ascension process, if you will then continue to gain momentum. You're going to see evidence of that. People exiting traditional religion, people exiting the need for politics, people exiting the need for many of your structures and traditions that have served the expansion of humanity to a point, but no longer do so. And you're all coming to understand that now. And in your understanding of that, you are watching them crumble beneath you. We have been sharing this for quite some time. And there is more and more evidence of the crumbling of your institutions. It does not mean they're all going to disappear overnight, but certainly you see the fracturing of them in real time. And you're going to see more of that as long as your focus is on no longer needing to be told what to do, no longer needing to be controlled the way that you have been controlled in the past, no longer needing to live traditional lives as stated by and large by your societies.
Right. Beautiful. Should we look at some questions, or how are you feeling about?
We will answer your questions.
Where we are right now. I see some questions right here. There's one that actually personally I would want to answer, but I'm gonna wait till you're done channeling. So the stream is done. But Deborah Sharp, when humans lose loved ones, our parents, our child, our spouse, and this is something near and dear to my heart because I know a lot about traumatic loss. Can we ever truly find happiness after that loss of the human that's so, so close to you?
You absolutely can find happiness again. It will not be the same version of happiness that you experienced prior to that, but it will be a deeper, more appreciative version of happiness that will serve your continued expansion if you so allow. When you learn to no longer judge the separation and the departure the way that you were all taught to judge it. A major component in your pain and suffering regarding the departure of your loved ones is learned behavior. We are certainly not stating or even suggesting that there is not pain involved in the physical separation of one that you enjoy very much, even one that you just appreciate very much and from a state of love. But you can begin to view your human experience very differently and begin to appreciate whatever your loved one's journey was, what their path was. It is our promise to you that while we are not about soul contracts and predetermined destinations and things of that nature, that person's soul consciousness being very much desired the exact experience that they had. Even though as a human being, they co-created that experience for themselves, including their departure. That was the soul's desire, was to come and have that unique experience, whatever it was. And when you can learn, and you all can, to stand in appreciation of that, and learn to stand in appreciation of whatever your experience is, which includes the vibrational neighbors, if you will, the other strands of consciousness that enter and exit your human experience. Notice that your animals, your friends, your family, the ones closest to you, or there's going to be an entry and an exit of all of it. Sometimes simultaneous, sometimes not. And in this entry and exit of these other physical beings, the more you zoom out to a higher perspective of your eternal nature, the more you can appreciate the temporary nature of physical. And the more you come to appreciate and understand the temporary nature of physical, the more you can gain ground, if you will, on appreciating every journey, every path, and that pain and loss and separation is part of the physical human experience. You're all going to experience it in some way, multiple ways, most of you. And coming to terms with the fact that you are here to experience both positive and negative. You are here to learn how to lose sometimes other humans that are very close to you. And you expand your being in the coming to grips with and understanding that process on a deeper level. Sometimes the darkest things that you experience actually cause the greatest amount of expansion for you in physical. And it is our promise to you that you are all here for the expansive experience. You did not come here to be born and live lives of perfection. There would be no point in your physical being whatsoever if you did not experience loss and pain and obstacles that you can then overcome if you so choose. And even if you choose not to overcome them, even if you choose suffering for all of your physical life, it is our promise to you that when you go through your death experience and return to your completed state, your higher self will look back on that life experience in appreciation for exactly how it was. Because you're all eternal. And in this coming and going in physical is a blip on the radar of all that you are. And when you start to pull that higher perspective down into your 3D reality and start applying universal law into your physical life, and in the current state of humanity, your physical reality is very opposite of universal law, because that separation of universal law has kept you all under control for quite some time. But now the cat's out of the bag. Now you're all coming to understand that you're creating your bubble of reality. You're ascending en masse, and you're ascending to a space that is not a different place than your physical world. This ascension is your higher understanding of your current reality that you are creating, and you're creating it through your perception of it. For some of you, David today was very happy and content and appreciating and very high vibration. And he gets into a session with someone who's very upset about today, very upset about politics and what's going on in the United States, and all of this upset and all of this anguish. And it was so shocking to him. He'd forgotten about all of that stuff. It is all your perspective of what you're experiencing. You can apply that to every single topic, including the loss of a child, including the loss of a parent, including the loss of a pet. We certainly understand. We are merged with all of you. You all have your version of this. We understand your pain when you lose someone dear to you. And when something happens in your physical realm that is not supposed to happen, such as the loss of a child, you are all preparing yourself somewhat for the loss of your parents at some point. So that's not quite as shocking when it transpires, especially if it transpires in what you consider the right amount of years. But the loss of a child is something, by and large, that is very difficult for you to deal with. But it is something that can set you on a spiritual journey that you will be forever changed by, certainly. But you can climb the mountain so high and hold such regard for that experience at some point that you create an expansive experience for yourself like no other on planet Earth. It does not mean that you're going to quote unquote get over it, but you're going to perceive it in such a way that serves your now. And it is our solemn promise to you that when you stand in appreciation of any loved one that has crossed over, rather than sorrow, rather than separation, rather than sadness, if you want to be connected to that which they are eternally, stand in appreciation of them and their path, their journey, their exit even. The more you learn to appreciate that which they are, the more you will be connected to them. There is no real separation. This physical separation is an illusion of humanity. This fear of death is yet another illusion of humanity. You're all going to return to your completed state at some point. And from your soul perspective, there is no right or wrong way or age or amount of years to do that. You're all here having your own unique human experience. And if you are a parent who has lost a child, and we are using the more extreme example from your perspective, part of your experience that you have manifested is that loss. And you're coming to appreciate your child in this example's departure, point of departure, age of departure, and in working that work will eventually be seen as an expansive experience for you. And it is not about erasing the past. It is not about erasing the pain. The pain is part of it. But that pain does not end that which you are any more than your child's departure ended what they were.
And I want to follow up on that just with Deborah's comment where she said, I know I shouldn't feel like this, but I'm angry at my husband for dying. And Deborah, I personally want to say, and I feel like the stream's going to go into a little bit deeper just on this. If you're angry, of course you're angry. Honor that, go there, be whatever your emotions are that are coming up. That's what the stream's talking about. They're talking about whatever your experience is, that's your experience. Don't put on another layer on that of I'm ashamed. I shouldn't be feeling the way I'm feeling. That's how you're feeling. You're angry. Of course you're angry. That's your human. And you can simultaneously feel your human like angst, anger, beat the wall in, and at the same time have a different perspective. You can have it all at once. You'll probably say this better than I will.
We went to the example of the child because across humanity, that is very much what you consider the extreme. So we start at the extreme to pull back down into things that perhaps you can move through differently. The anger, whatever emotion that you're having is the emotional experience that you're having. And we are telling you there's value in all of it.
Absolutely.
Understand, though, that you are operating in vibrational flow. The guidance that we will offer around this is that because of vibrational flow, this amazing polarity that you are experiencing, polarity can take you in a good mood and pull you down. Just naturally, your astrology is all about that. How the alignment of the planets and the stars for you will shift your vibration, and that is indeed accurate. That is part of it. But another part of it is your focus. Understand that polarity works both ways. That if you are in a process of mourning, if you will, and you're in a stage, if you will, of anger, that if you so allow, polarity is going to pull you through that stage. If you allow the fluctuation of polarity with grace and ease, you will have a magnificent life experience regardless of what occurs to you. Where we guide you with our teachings is to work on removing fear and judgment. We refer to it as detuning, because you're not going to get rid of or eradicate fear and judgment from your polarized reality, but you're going to detune it if you try, and you can. And the more you remove fear and judgment from any topic, the more you're going to raise the vibration on that topic. So if you revisit the departure of your husband and remove fear and judgment from it, and it's just an experience that you had, and this was his soul's experience that he had, you can feel a little tinge of relief, even if it's just a little bit. Yeah. Understand that tinge of relief, you can build momentum on that if you so choose. It is always your choice whether you do this work or not. There is no right or wrong in any of this. You can hold yourself in anger for the rest of your physical life if you desire. But as our promise to you, that there is a whole other world ahead of you if you want to place your hands back in your clay and create something. And if you remove fear and you remove judgment, you are automatically going to remove the guilt of expansive human being that you go on to manifest for yourself if you so allow. In fact, it is also our promise to you that your husband's completed state is no longer in a polarized environment and is wanting nothing more for you than for you to move ahead with a joyous experience, whatever that is for you. And the more you stand in appreciation of him, and the more you detune the anger around all of that and raise your vibration, the more connection you're going to have to him in his now. Andrea will confirm for you, he is all around you all the time. But your anger and your grief and your all of these negative emotions are holding you away from what is right in front of you.
But I will just say, this is Andrea talking. You're human. You need that anger. You need all that. This is Andrea talking, because the sooner you like what Stream just said about the fear and judgment that we put on all these other natural emotions. If we just feel the anger without fear and judgment, the anger comes up and it goes away. All this stuff comes up and it releases.
That is vibrational flow. Vibrational flow takes care of your every need, ultimately.
Yes. So if there's no fear or judgment on whatever it is coming up, it's going to come up and move, come up and move, come up and move. That's my experience as a medium. But every emotion can come up and move and just move. But I feel like that's what you're saying, is that when we have fear and judgment, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't feel that. That just keeps us stuck.
Indeed.
I think we're out of time, unless you have something further to say.
We have shared quite a bit, and we're not necessarily looking to layer on to this experience from that which we have already shared significantly. Understand that indeed your physical life experience is your creation. And the more you come to understand that this vibrational flow and this polarity is creating a mix of things for all of you, positive and negative, you are all going to, along your human journey, feel loss, feel triumph, feel success, feel failure. All of it has value for you, all of it. But you are very often taught that certain things are supposed to be avoided, that some people aren't experiencing loss. Some people are never experiencing failure. Some people are never experiencing loss or grief. We are here to tell you that there is not a shred of evidence of that being true. we often say that the Instagram version of life is an illusion. It is not real. That no one's living that perfection that you may see as you flip through your social media. And notice that your social media has transitioned to one of more raw reality. Sometimes so much raw reality that you have to disconnect from it. But that is humanity desiring very much to move beyond this idea of physical perfection, this idea of financial perfection, this idea of relationship perfection, this idea of getting married and being together until you're X number of years and passing on gracefully in your sleep. That is not the way of your world. You're in a contrasting environment. Fear creeps in. Unwanted things creep in. All of those unwanted things, though, can serve as the launch pad to your next new creation. You are creating every single thing that is happening to you vibrationally. And it's always going to be a mix of positive and negative. But the more you come to embrace what you now consider negative, the more you detune the judgment and fear of and embrace your obstacles, the fewer and further between they're going to be. And then when something significant transpires, i.e. the death of your spouse or the departure of your child or a close loved one, something that you vibrationally have no control over, understand that is an experience that your soul came to this life to have regardless. Your soul came here to experience loss, to experience pain. And some of you align with a life of loss and pain right out of the gate.
Whew, that's the truth.
And the more sophisticated the being is, meaning the more you have been, the more sophistication you're looking for in your physical experiences, the more contrast you're going to place yourselves in the path of from the get-go. This is why there are children that are born into poverty and terminal illness and abusive parents and things of this nature and suffer from the very beginning. You look upon these beings in pity, and we certainly understand that. But what you're viewing is a very sophisticated soul that is coming here for the pain. And when you return to your completed state and you see how this lifetime was a little blip, a little speck of dust compared to all that you are, that this was just a minor experience that you came and had. You're now, this is everything. And we understand that. But if you can zoom out to that higher perspective of eternalness, that higher perspective of you are omnipresent and omniscient as we are, because you are all expressions of us. And you are here in this life having this linear time experience of positive and negative, and that you can come to truly embrace all of the things that you were taught are so negative. And as you embrace them, solve them faster, expand greatly from the solving of them, and learn to live your life in such a high vibration that even the death experience of one that you love very much can be experienced in a very different way. But we are not guiding you to judge wherever you are right now against that. Absolutely. At all. We are guiding you that is a possibility for you if you so choose to move in that direction. But wherever you are is where you are. And we are all about teaching you to find joy in your now. And if you are standing in anger of the departure of your husband in this example, then find a little relief in the appreciation of what you had with him, with what he was. And when you find that appreciation for what he was, instead of feeling sadness at the loss of it, just stand in the appreciation and then understand that everything that he was, he still is. And that is your connection to him that you will have eternally. With much love, that is all we have.
Hi. I just want to say really quickly to close up, Deborah, thank you for sharing such a personal experience. And we feel you. And I just love what came through. Don't put a positive spin on things. Just be where you are right now.
I am feeling this crazy.
Okay.
I'm feeling deep, deep, deep sorrow and the purest joy.
Yep. I know.
Simultaneously. Isn't it crazy?
I think Deborah can feel the same thing. I think she's totally feeling the same thing. She's feeling all that grief, but she knows the soul. She knows like everything. And that's what being like a very wise human is. You can feel the anger, you can feel the sorrow, you can feel the loss, you can feel all this horrificness, and at the same time have the perspective. So you can do both. And it's not easy, but you can definitely do it and honor your physical loss and at the same time have your perspective. But it's not one trumping the other. It's not pushing, it's not posturing. As your stream said earlier, it's not posturing. You're not going to posture and
so much
pretend
of
like everything's okay. You're not going to pretend like
it's
not.
We feel because we're told we're supposed to feel it.
Yep.
We forget how externally programmed we are.
Yep.
And what I've started, we teach Taya, and I've started referring to Taya as an operating system for your life. Because part of the book, one of the things I got into in the book was this whole chapter about us being robots, which sounds nuts, I know. But we are
your new book or your last book?
As soon as I wrote the book, it was all channeled. And as soon as I channeled it, it got so clear to me, the new book that isn't published yet.
Cool.
It's out of the bag. We're all robots. We are. Wow. We're technology. We are created technology that is so sophisticated that we don't see ourselves as technology. We think robots are technology, nuts and bolts, computers are technology. That's our little old human technology. Universal technology is the earth and everything on it and the perfect ecosystem that it is. The perfect self-sustaining ecosystem of planet Earth. It's amazing. And we're part of that. And our bodies are robots, or we're avatars. We are. And we get to program our avatar.
Somebody put that up in the questions and we're just too much there was so much going on. But somebody just said, are we avatars? Can we look
we are
at
avatars. We are. We are self-programmed avatars who up until now have been programmed by external teachings. Now we're coming into, and it's not just the stream that started all this. This started off years and years ago, but The Secret, I think, was a big turning point. Because the reason The Secret was so popular is that suddenly people came to this knowing that, oh, yeah, we do attract into our reality. Was The Secret perfect? Of course not. But The Secret did its job. It introduced the idea that we create a reality to humanity. That's its job. The stream's job is to take that, much deeper into polarity and vibrational flow and how the whole universe got created by that, how it continues to expand by that, and then pull that into 3D reality of, oh yeah, that's how my life is created through this polarity up and down. That's why it's not perfect. But now that I understand how it works, I can be more intentional in my creation of what's next. Meaning I'm going to be the one programming my avatar now. I'm taking full responsibility for it. Therefore, I'm getting full control over it.
With the full spectrum of polarity.
Yeah.
Not shutting it off.
The first thing is don't expect perfection.
Understanding.
Yeah, don't expect perfection. You're not going to get perfection. I don't even care about perfection anymore.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I was trying to put this whole perfect in me. And I'm like, no, I'm not that. I'm not perfect. So, and I don't want to be perfect. That's not even fun. Being perfect is not even fun. Being perfect is exhausting. Trying to be perfect is exhausting. You're never going to be there.
Oh my gosh, no.
So how did that feel on your end as a medium in that communication?
It felt awesome. I just felt... So the way I work, I will get words or I'll get a feeling. I'll get something and I don't know where it's going to go. And that's how I felt with the stream. I knew I had to... I had something.
Well, they were here.
Vulnerability.
They guided me.
And I had to go deep.
They guided us being able to jump on here and do this in perfection. You're not always available. And then we get you on, and I could just, the second we started talking, they were like, "Let us out, come on!" This feeling of they're ready to go right now.
Yeah,
you already had all the questions to draw out all the information.
They gave me nuggets. They gave me, which is how I work. Actually, if I'm the only one doing the talking, I'll get nuggets, and then it just it goes deeper and deeper and deeper from there. So that was amazing. It feels really heart connected. I gotta tell you, it feels really heart connected. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's I've kind of leveled off now, but man, when I first came out, I think because of your conversation, I think with Deborah,
yeah,
you're still watching. I felt the simultaneous low of despair and high of the source of all creation at the same time.
I know.
So thank you for that.
I knew I had to go there.
That was cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah, so much, because we were definitely feeling it.
Yeah, very nice. Well, I'm a little dazed always after I channel, especially for a while, but they went really deep. But Andrea, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
It was cool.
you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching. Love to all of you. Namaste.